Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Secrets. I'm your host Mohammed Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia, and the co-author of New Success Secrets available on Amazon. On this special episode, we have a special guest, Carl Robinson. Carl is the co-founder CEO of Rumble Studio and the host of Voice Tech Podcast. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Carl Robinson. Carl, welcome.
Hey, Siddique. Great to be on the show. Thank you very much for having me on.
I appreciate the time and let's get started. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to start Rumble Studio?
Wow, that's a big question. Okay, so my life story in a nutshell, 3 minutes or less. So I'm a Brit from the UK. Worked in London for a few years, but then realized that consulting wasn't really the job for me. So I moved to Beijing in China. I actually lived in Beijing for 7 years. Started a couple of startups there. Followed a friend over there, in fact, good friend, Guy Taylor, and we started 2 startups. In fact, we started a startup that was really maybe too ambitious, called Hyperlingo, which was this translation marketplace that went on for far too long. I can tell you about that later. And in the meantime, we started a much smaller thing, an app that we built together that actually did quite well. That actually got featured by Apple on the front of the iTunes store. We sold it, and the money that we raised from that actually financed our lives in China for the next few years. And then I joined an American startup to treat diabetics in India. It was a mobile health startup, in fact, that allowed me to go to India and do all this kind of stuff. It was fantastic. I was a product manager. And then after 7 years in China, it was time to come back to Europe. I actually had met my girlfriend, Veronique. She's French. And so we decided to move to France. And that's why I'm in France now. Since then, I did a master's in data science. I actually did a project on voice technology, voice emotion transformation in the lab. And that's how I got into voice technology. It was the same time as Amazon Alexa and all these smart speakers were getting popular. I decided to start a podcast about that subject, about voice technology. And that's what brought me into the world of audio. And then that's what led me to actually create Rumble Studio, which is essentially a tool that makes it 10 times faster, easier, cheaper to create audio content through asynchronous conversations. And I'll be happy to tell you more about that as well.
Oh my God! Looks like let's stop the interview and let's talk about your Rumble Studio more, like a easier, faster, and cheaper. So,
yeah,
Carl, that's a great story. You have been like winging around many places.
Indeed, yeah. So, yes, I don't like to stay in one place for too long. I think it's important to challenge yourself. I think it's important to try things that maybe you're not sure whether they'll succeed or not, but stretch you as a person.
I'm hoping that's not a signal for your girlfriend. You said that you don't like to stay in the place.
No, I'm not. That's one thing that I have managed to stick with. We've been together for more than 7 years now, so past the 7-year itch.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, and finally, I should say, actually, I just had a baby 2 days ago. Our first child was born, so.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, very happy.
Amazing feeling, So now there's something is bonding together, everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Carl, you have done so many things and traveled in different cultures and trying to help and empower others. I'm sure you have done a mistake or two somewhere here, there. So you want to share top 3 missteps to avoid, because you did a few ventures which didn't really go well. You probably learned so much, so we can learn from your mistakes. So what are the top 3 missteps to avoid when you're launching something?
Yeah, well, I can imagine the older you get, the more mistakes you make. I don't know if I have a top 3, but I can definitely speak to some of the big ones in my life. The first one would be to not choose a career path based around money. I think the first job I had was in consulting in London. I wasn't earning a fortune, but I was a fortune at the time, and it helped me pay off my student debt. But I look back and realized that leaving that job when I did was one of the best decisions I'd made. Had I stayed there, I would have made more and more money, and I would have been on a 6-figure salary within a few years. But then I looked at the people in the same job as me, a few years ahead of me, and I thought that's not the life that I want. So I really had the choice between being a poor startup person living in Asia and just continuing to work in London in a supposedly glitzy consulting job. And I definitely think that I made the right decision there. So it's not all about the money. Life, you only get one chance at it. And I think you should follow your heart and follow your curiosity as well. Like, do what makes you interested in what you're actually doing day to day. And they say that if you enjoy your work, then you never work a day in your life. And I do believe that.
Wonderful. That's a
Mm.
one mistake. Do not follow the money. We want two more.
Two more. I would say don't suffer fools gladly. There are plenty of people in the world who will waste your time, who will use you for, I don't know, an emotional crutch, or you'll be there as a supposed friend, and they'll belittle you, or they'll treat you badly, and you can get into a rut, you can get into a routine, and you can end up accepting those kind of people in your life because they're part of your social circle. And I would say don't do that. Value yourself more highly than that. Seek out new people. And you'll be better for it. You're the sum of the company you keep, and if you're around these toxic people who aren't there in your own best interest, then you will suffer, and it's a slow death. So recognize these people for who they are, limit contact with them. If you can't cut them off completely, then create these systems, these barriers, set your limits, and don't go past them, and you'll be better for it.
Get rid of toxic people around you. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
One more is good.
One more, I would say, focus on family. I think family is important, and maintaining like a harmonious family environment, whether that means starting a new family like I've just done, or making a special effort with the family that are around you. I think it pays off, and it's important. So look after your family.
Can I ask a follow-up? You said get rid of a toxic environment. If there's someone in the family that's toxic, then how do you do that? It's a hard one.
This is it. Well, no, that is sometimes the hardest thing. Yeah, this is what I was saying before about setting boundaries. Like you want to be there for people and help them, and you can give them the benefit of all your experience and your time and your energy. But if you realize that there isn't that quid pro quo, and they are take, then you have to set yourself a limit. Maybe you don't cut them off completely, but you say to yourself, okay, I'll speak to them once a week, but I'm not going to respond to their texts every day, for example. And that way you can continue to live your life and grow as a person, and be there for all the people around you, and not just that one person who will just sap all your energy.
Great, Carl. You are not as good as you think. You are better, man.
Yeah, we'll see.
So okay, and one more little challenging question. So I want you may be a little bit more vulnerable when you share this, when you answer this question. What's the single most professional failure you had? What did you learn from it, and how did you recover from that?
Yeah, I've had a few. I mean, Hyperlingo was one. Like, this was the translation marketplace that we're working on, because we had a lot of faith in that startup, and we continued working on it for far too long. We spent actually 4 years on a startup. We spent tens of thousands of pounds each. We put our faith in suppliers where we really shouldn't have. We gave them too much money up front, expecting them to deliver when they didn't. We were inexperienced. We'd chosen a project that we didn't have a huge amount of experience in, and was far too big for what we were capable of at the time. So there were a series of errors that we made on that. But every one of those errors has set me up for success in what I do now. So I can look back on that and say, I won't do that again. This is what I'll do differently. And this time round, when I'm working on Rumble Studio, things are going much, much better, because I'm not falling into the same traps.
Yeah.
If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And it really is true. You have to learn from your failures and not see them as, a fault, but as opposed to an opportunity to learn from it and do better next time.
Yeah.
I would say Hyperlingo is one of my greatest successes and failures, because I have learned from the mistakes I made.
Yeah. So your recent success is based on that you learned from that failure to ensure that you don't do the same mistake again.
Absolutely. It's important to do those failures as young as possible as well.
Yeah.
And so it's like if you're a young person, you go out and you party hard. Maybe you didn't get such great grades, but as an adult, when now you've got a family, that your partying days are over. You've done that, it's behind you. Whereas some people never did it, right? And they get to 40 and then they start partying hard, and then things start going wrong. So it's important to learn the lessons.
Yeah. So Carl, now you are successful in this. You already applied all the mistakes, and you don't want to repeat the same mistakes again. What are your top 3 success secrets in this your Rumble Studio?
Well, Rumble Studio was a project that came from a place of curiosity. I did the data science masters because I was curious to see whether I could handle it. It's a very technical degree. I wanted to try my hand at something very technical. Then I threw myself into voice technology because it combined data science and the human computer aspect, which really interested me, right? So I followed my interest again. Then I started a podcast because this was something that I wanted to do. I felt like I would be good at it, and I was interested to have conversations with the people around me. And so I would say the tip is to follow your curiosity, to do what interests you, of course, with an eye on the market. Data science is a hot job. Voice technology is a booming trend. So, there was a time when I was comparing different technology trends. Should I go into VR? Should I go into, a blockchain? Should I go into voice technology? And I chose voice because it had that right balance of all, all those different factors, the opportunity, but also the interest. So I'd say absolutely listen to your gut. One of the mistakes I made, actually, not just hyperlingo, was straight after my data science masters, I got a job at Dassault Systèmes, which is fantastic, big company, very, very big profile in France. Dassault make the jet fighter planes, and Dassault Systèmes do all the software, so a big data science department and stuff. Amazing company. Everybody would, love to get a job there, but it absolutely wasn't a right fit for me. I'd already worked in a big consulting company. And, I spent 6 months there, and I realized, I wasn't a good cultural fit. I wasn't, applying myself to the work. And so that was a misstep. But it only cost me 6 months to remind myself, actually, where you belong is the startup world. This is what you did before. This is what you enjoyed. Go straight back to working on a startup. And that's exactly what I did. So, yeah.
Great. Very good. Excellent. So how do you see 5 years, 10 years from now on this Rumble Studio?
I have no idea. In the startup and technology world, 5 years, even 5 years is a long time, but I'm definitely optimistic about voice technology. I think that, there's been a lot of hype around smart speakers so far, and things have plateaued a bit this year in terms of the skills, the apps that you can install on them. But in general, the world of voice technology is really advancing very, very quickly. And I see a huge amount of potential. Everybody, the fact that so many consumers have taken to voice technology so quickly, really, at the moment, it's the technology that's the limiting factor, not the will of the customers, which is amazing, right? It's a tractable problem. It's one we can solve. And so I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see more and more use cases of people speaking to machines that are going to get smarter, going to understand us better. We're going to see it enter our lives in different ways, and be more and more integrated with the technology that we already use, like our smartphones, for example.
You are like a voice specialist. And when you talk about a voice, for a consumer like me, think about Clubhouse right away, because the Clubhouse.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think about Clubhouse?
I think I really need to try and use it because I haven't got an iPhone. So I'm feeling the FOMO like a lot of Android users at the moment. I need to buy one.
You know what? My friend, Srini Salipali from San Francisco, like Silicon Valley, he called me and said, "Hey, I invited you on a Clubhouse a few days ago. It's not long ago. I invited you so get on your iPhone." I said, "I don't have an iPhone." Okay.
No.
So then I borrowed an iPad from my daughter. I said, "You never asked me before for iPad." I said, "I just need one thing. Can you download this app for me? And I just need to reserve my ID." And then just kind of had a one call, and then I'm done.
You did it. Oh, so you've had the experience. Yeah. And what was it like? Was it good?
It's amazing.
Really?
It's like a radio on demand, and you can schedule a call, and all of your community people in the group, and they can come and they can be moderator, and they can speak. It's a hell lot of hyper engagement, especially in the start, and you can discuss about any topic really, and there's nothing recorded. The show is over, it's over. It's just like a radio,
It's very spontaneous. Yeah.
And people are more focused on not checking the status and thumb roll, scrolling.
Yeah.
Hey, they are actually participating in the conversation. That's what everybody wants anyway.
I think so. I think you hit the nail on the head. It is about that kind of deep and meaningful interactions as opposed to these kind of very shallow and transient interactions that we have on social media. And people are missing that. I think they realize that something is missing from scrolling through a feed. And this is what we're trying to do at Rumble Studio as well. In an asynchronous manner, Clubhouse is highly synchronous, right? It's everybody together at the same time. It's a bit like live streaming right now. We have to be here, same time, same place, and you get that spark of spontaneity. But with something like Rumble Studio, asynchronous, you perhaps lose a bit of the spontaneity, but what you lose, you gain in terms of preparation, in terms of zero pressure, in terms of convenience, in terms of ease of repurposing the material afterwards as well. So there's a lot of benefits to doing these things in different ways. And I think 2021 is a really, really great year because Clubhouse has just kicked it off with a bang with audio. Everybody's thinking about audio now. And for audio startups like us,
people are desperate to get the invite from somebody,
Absolutely, yeah. So I say thank you, Clubhouse, for putting a spotlight on audio once again. Just as all the smart speaker apps are kind of sliding in popularity a little bit, we've got this new thing to get excited about. So very positive.
Wonderful. Call how the Growth Hacking Secrets community people are watching this right now, or maybe in the future, how they can support you.
To support us, what I would love is for everybody to visit rumble.studio and log on, create a free account. It's completely free, and record some audio. Maybe they can use it to do some research for a blog post they're writing. Maybe they want to create some audio and actually publish it as a podcast, convert it to a video using like Headliner or Wave and put it on social media. Absolutely, rumble.studio. Just go and give it a go. If you want to drop me a line, it's Carl, C-A-R-L, @rumble.studio. You can tweet me at VoiceTechCarl. If you want to hear any of my podcast episodes that I've recorded previously, you can go to voicetechpodcast.com, and there are some examples of podcasts recorded with Rumble Studio right there to have a listen to. So have a listen.
Oh, wonderful. In fact, I'm going to check all this one myself because that really helps to make a cutting edge on how to do the right way.
Absolutely.
So, Carl, we are about to wrap up. And what would you say as a final word?
Final words. Siddique, thank you very much for having me on the show. I think it's fantastic. This is my first live stream, I think, maybe. I'm not sure if I've ever done a live stream before. So
only with Siddique on Growth Hacking Secrets.
I really think it is. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, very exciting. Thank you very much. And I wish everybody a great 2021 and a voice first and audio first 2021.
Now you mentioned it's your first one, so I'm going to take this opportunity to get a feedback on a Growth Hacking Secrets show. What would you say your best friend about Growth Hacking Secret show when I'm not there?
I would say Siddique is a fantastic host. I think you're a natural host. You've made me feel very, very welcome. I love the energy that we've had on this live stream. I enjoyed answering your questions as well. I'll put my hand up and say I didn't prepare for the interview at all. So I think you've done a great job in getting some answers out of me that I didn't do a huge amount of homework for. So it was an enjoyable experience, and I encourage everybody to come on the show and talk about their successes as well.
Thank you for your kind word. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Carl Robinson, for sharing your wisdom with us today on the behalf of a Growth Hacking Secrets community and our entire team. We really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia. Until the next episode, all good wishes.